Hello everyone, this is Aaron Johnson with the Johnson iRacing team. Today I'm at Lanier National Speedway in Brazelton, Georgia. I'm going to walk you through how I go about building a qualifying setup for the Legends Ford 34. My philosophy is fairly straightforward. I always do this in a test session first, where I don't have to worry about other cars being on the racetrack. I go to the iRacing screen, I open up a test session, I make sure I'm at Lanier and that I'm in the Legends 34 Ford. And then I run a test. And I load my racing setup initially. So I run my racing setup, I go out and I try to run 10 good laps, and I want to see what kind of speed I'm going to run in those 10 good laps. So let's start out by laying down 10 good, solid laps. As you can see, I've been practicing a little bit already. I got down to a 14.787 in this session. And then I thought, well, if I was going to do this, maybe I ought to make a video today. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I usually blend up just at the white line. Lap, if you haven't seen this track, the line is to go up high toward the wall, roll down into the corner, come out a little bit higher than the driving line. You want two wheels just about on that yellow line as you come out. Car's going to be pretty twitchy on cold tires, so you got to be aware that you're going to be pretty loose coming out. You can see that there, and you can see where on my fast lap I actually spun. Okay, so I'm rolling into the throttle here. We're going to come onto the back straightaway up high again, right up next to the wall, a little too high. And then down into the apex of the corner, roll back into the throttle. Don't just jam the gas down. Ooh, a little twitchy there. The 784 is not bad. Good. Oh, hello. Car's a little loose. It's not really coming in like it usually does. It's still loose. I didn't get in that corner good at all.
I brought you a treat. Cherry. On me.
All right, so what I did there was I ran 10 or 12, 13 good laps, bounced off the wall a few times. Car's a little bit loose. But what I wanted to take note of there was that my best lap time was a 14.729. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to request a new car. I'm going to crawl back in the car, and I'm going to come out and I'm going to drive 2 laps hard on cold tires and see how this car reacts. Is it loose? Is it tight? Does it slide up the racetrack? Do I have a problem with it pushing going in and being loose coming out, right? How does it feel on cold tires pushing it hard? So same thing, I come out here, out of pit lane, stay under the yellow line until right here, blend up at that sort of white line, and then start running the line that I usually run at the racetrack and go hard and see what happens. So we're going to run it just like we were on brand new tires and see what happens, all right? Okay, we're going to run hard here. Okay, so it feels kind of pushy coming in. That's one thing I'm noticing. Yeah, it feels kind of pushy on cold tires, so I actually may need to loosen this car up a little bit to make a good qualifying setup here because it's feeling really pushy. Now, all right, so that really wasn't too bad. I'm within a tenth of a second of where I need to be here. My goal is to get to where I can run 2 quick laps, just about the same speed as I ran for my fast laps with my race setup. So I'm going to go to my garage here. It feels like it's a little tight. We're going to go to chassis. We're going to loosen it up by increasing the ride height here, and that's going to change the cross weight, drop the cross weight about 0.03 or about 0.3%. And we're going to go back out into this test and run 2 good laps. Still feels like it's pushy. I may be driving in too deep. So first lap was an 8:52. Second lap was a 7:5, so we're pretty close. I don't think I can go quite as far this time around, right? If I go another full click on the right rear, that car's, I think it's probably going to be undrivable. So I need to do something else. I could up the right rear tire pressure. That should loosen the car up a little bit. I could up the left front. I could drop the right front or drop, well, can't drop the left rear below 10. I think I'm going to up that right rear tire pressure by 1 pound now and see if that doesn't give me a little better opportunity here to qualify this race car. All right, under the yellow line, blend back up right here at the white line, up next to the wall, a little bit below the driving line here, roll into the throttle. Woo! Let's see what we can do. Car really rotated into the corner good there. Oh my. A 7:31. That was a pretty good lap. Yeah, so didn't have to fight this car very much to get a qualifying lap that was pretty much equal to my best lap in race trim. So what I would do now is I'll go into garage and I'm going to save as. And I want to go down here. I always try to name things based on what I'm doing with them. So here I've got Lanier JJ Quali. That's JJ is my brother Joe Johnson. He's also part of the iRacing team. The Johnson iRacing team. I'm going to label this one Quali 2. And that way we know that it was the second qualifying setup that I made. And I'm going to put VID after it because it's one we made for this video. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. So you can see what I'm running here. I'll go ahead and walk through it. 10 pounds on the left side, 14 on the right front, 15 on the right rear, 1 inch of stagger. And remember, stagger is the difference in circumference between the right side tire and the left side tire on the same axle. So 1 inch of stagger in the back means that the right side tire is 1 inch larger in diameter than the left. As an example, if your right rear tire was 84 inches in circumference, you just take a tape measure and actually wrap it around the center line of the tire and measure around the tire in the center line of the tread pattern, and then do the same thing on the left. If the right rear was 84, the left rear would be 83. Okay, so that's what we're running in terms of the tires and tire pressures. On chassis, I had the toe set at negative 2/16. Had steering offset about -2 degrees. Brake bias at maximum for the front brake bias. Wheel offset I leave at 5/8. That's a thing that you can do on the right side to give you a little wider track. Running a 250-pound spring in the left front, 3.9 degrees of camber, 2.5 degrees of caster. Shock collar offset's 6.283. That gives me a ride height of 3.59 inches. Right front, spring rate of 175. So the right front's actually softer than the left front. Negative 5.7 degrees of camber, 5.8. That's max caster on the right front, max positive. Ride height of 3.65 inches. Left rear and right rear are both 175-pound spring rates. Ride height in the left rear is 3.74. Ride height in the right rear is 3.84. So the right rear is the highest corner of this particular car. At Lanier National, you can run 40 laps on 1.1 gallons. So I run the minimum fuel. That gives me a cross weight of 49.5%. And I'm using the 3.58 rear gear in high. That's about all I have today. The next thing that I would do if I were doing this for myself, after I built my qualifying setup in a test session, I would go ahead and go into a practice session. And then I would follow that same pattern, only I would start out with my qualifying setup once I was ready to try to make a qualifying setup. So I wouldn't start from scratch again. And I'd run 2 good hard laps on my race setup to see how it's going to react, because if track temperature is a little different, it changes things. And then I would go back out in my qualifying setup and see what I could do. For the Johnson iRacing team on the Johnson iRacing Network, this is Aaron Johnson saying, go fast, turn left, have fun.